Monkey D. Luffy is messing around. Monkey D. Luffy is not messing around. Well, in fact, he's doing a little bit of both. Chapter 1045 has come at a great time, and I'm not sure how they're able to do these leaks and scans so much earlier than previously, but clearly TCB Scans has a great understanding of how much we're thirsting for more One Piece content, especially after Chapter 1044 broke the internet in and of itself. Immediately upon reading Chapter 1045, I had some mixed feelings towards how the fight was going and how it was portrayed. You know, often I find myself drawn towards fights that are more serious in nature, but after rereading it and having about an hour or two to digest the material, to meditate on the material, Chapter 1045 was incredible, and I don't think the cartoony fighting style of it at all took away from it. But without further ado, let's hop right into Chapter 1045 because I know we have all been waiting for it. With the beginning of Chapter 1045, Kaido discusses with Luffy. He points out that Luffy is now able to make the surroundings around him rubbery, which is of course the properties of his awakening. We know with Doffy's, with Katakuris, with their awakening, they could turn the ground in and of itself and all the surroundings into the material that their devil fruit produces. But Kaido says it's like he hasn't awakened to Paramecia, but at the same time it feels off. The transformation that Luffy had feels much more like a mythical Zoan. And Kaido, obviously a mythical Zoan user, probably knows just what type of transformation that is when a mythical Zoan user awakens their devil fruit, and more importantly, it implies that obviously Kaido has awakened his own devil fruit. And given that, you have no idea how much this hints at the flashback of Kaido, and it really baits me into thinking, please Oda, within these next few chapters, at least before Kaido's defeated, maybe after, please give us a Kaido backstory, because Kaido seems to know so much about Joy Boy, he knows stuff about mythical Zoan transformations, but at the same time, we don't know how he got this information and how he became the strongest creature alive. So please, for the love of God, Oda, I promise I really need this flashback. And Luffy and Kaido, they start fighting, which is of course what we expected, but in the fight, I don't think any of us could have imagined the cartoony-esque fight that ensues. Luffy gets swallowed by Kaido, and then in turn, Luffy makes Kaido's stomach into a balloon type thing, and now Kaido's really chunky, and people are pointing out, did Kaido gain some weight? This fight doesn't seem remotely serious, and Luffy has this really unique moment where while inside of Kaido, he seems to rubberize Kaido's eyes and escape through Kaido's eyes, and it looked so painful for Kaido. I'm not sure how this entire thing worked without Kaido losing his eyes in and of itself, but in a joyous fashion, Joy Boy Luffy, he escapes from Kaido's eyes, and as he does so, Luffy's laughing, he's enjoying himself, and I think the part of this chapter that I think is going to break the internet the most is that when Luffy goes towards the sky, he is a giant, and I don't mean just like a big version of himself, I mean a literal giant making Kaido, the freaking dragon, looks small, and Luffy attacks Kaido, and I think him turning into a giant, this could be just my headcanon, it could be the theorist part of my brain, I think it hints at the fact that Elbaf will likely be the next arc after Wano. Luffy paying homage to the giants of Elbaf, it makes sense, especially since Joy Boy in his depiction was a giant. He had a giant straw hat, and that alludes to either the fact that Joy Boy would turn himself with the Gomu Gomu no Mi, but I guess that's a misnomer now. That's not technically Luffy's actual fruit, but we'll call it that for the sake of my sanity of calling it that for so many years. But it alludes to the fact that Joy Boy was a giant, or he just used the abilities of his devil fruit to become one, but I think it's more so that Joy Boy was a giant. Especially since that was a straw hat he wore, it was freaking huge. And if you ever thought this fight was gonna get a little bit serious, Luffy turns Kaido into a jump rope, and Luffy jump ropes with Kaido, and Luffy is just having fun this fight, and he even tanks a blast breath. And Luffy, he's not defeated by this, he's like, oh my god, this burns. You see Luffy shot away, he took a blast breath head on, and almost no one has ever survived that. And Luffy, as he falls from the sky, again goes into a more cartoony, comical feel, as he does this really comedic run towards Kaido, and as he does so, he clashes with Kaido, and again, he gets his head hit through Onigashima, and his eyes almost pop out of his head, thus ensuing in Law, Kid, Chopper, Nami, Tama, all of them, their eyes are out of their head too. Another moment reminding us that this pirate anime, this pirate manga, it's not that serious. Of course, there are really serious elements and discussions that take place, but at the end of the day, this is a fun adventure we're on, and we can tell this through this fight. And if you were expecting a Rob Lucci-esque fight like I myself was, I'm sorry, but at this current point, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that. It seems the direction Oda is wanting to take it is kind of similar to the fight with Enel, and as we know, the fight with Enel had a lot of comedy moments in and of itself. And I think this writing talent of Oda to bring these serious moments and juxtapose them with comedy is a really good strength of his as a writer. And like I said before, I wasn't sure how much I would like this comedy style until I digested this reading material, and I love this chapter so far. In fact, Kaido even points out that what Luffy is doing is something out of a picture book, and damn, he is absolutely right. And as Luffy stands before Kaido, Kaido says, "You still can't beat me. You've put on quite a show." And at this moment, we do see hints of seriousness because we see Luffy fading out of his Gear 5. He's exhausted, panting, wheezing, and is pointed out that his voice is actually becoming quieter and quieter, implying that he's running out of stamina, he's running out of his life force. And we know from all the previous gears, Luffy has continually had a lot of drawbacks when it comes to the use of this power, and especially after a power-up like this, it's not likely Luffy can maintain this form indefinitely without some huge repercussions. And Kaido tells Luffy while he's exhausted, he said, "You can rest easy and die if you're tired. Tales will be told about how you've all fought this war." In Luffy fashion, he doesn't care about fame or honor or notoriety after his death. Luffy says, "When you're dead, only your bones stick around," and he laughs. This is so much of a moment of Luffy. It reminds me of when Odin said in one of his final words, "I don't care if I'm forgotten." Luffy, despite his exhaustion, he's not done yet. He says it's not over. And right here, it actually does feel a little bit like the Rob Lucci fight when Luffy refused to fall. And most notably of the people he mentions, he says Momo, Tama, Kinemon, Pedro. I really wasn't expecting him to bring up Pedro, and it really did hit me in my feels that he chose these 4 individuals: Momo, the future shogun of Wano; Tama, who he made his grand promise to; Kinemon, who has spent all this time gathering allies to restore the Kozuki family; and Pedro, his sacrifice will not be forgotten. And Kaido says, "You're really gonna kill yourself if you keep pushing this far." And Luffy says, "After this, do you really think something like death could scare me?" And that is one of the coldest lines I have ever heard Luffy spit. Luffy is in his stance with his fist on the ground, about to power up once more. Luffy is not fearful of death. He's already died before, literally a few chapters ago, and at this moment it did feel really serious, but again it's juxtaposed, and Luffy starts giggling once more, and he gets hit by Kaido again with Kaido's big club, and everybody's shocked, but Luffy's just like, it hurts, and he looks like a cartoon once more. Luffy again begins to attack again, and Kaido's like, "What is this pure white transformation?" He's coated with armament and conqueror's haki, and he can influence anything around him with his ability. The way he fights has so much freedom, it's so versatile, which is literally what they described last chapter. Those who hold his devil fruit can fight with the most freedom out of any fighters alive, and it's really notable that Kaido is able to see this in and of itself, that Luffy fighting in this manner, he really has no restrictions. He can play around with freedom like a child. And the chapter concludes with Luffy punching Kaido in the face, and he says, "I'm having the time of my life, Kaido." This chapter was super action heavy, and I think it's something we all wanted. As much as I love plot-based chapters, there's been so much build up to this fight, and now we are finally getting to witness Luffy going all out. And at the same time, I love that Luffy isn't fighting just pure out of rage or animosity or hatred towards Kaido, although he obviously has animosity towards him. He's having the time of his life, and he is embodying what Joy Boy is. Joy Boy excels in these circumstances where even when he's pushed to his limits, he is enjoying himself. He's happy, and Joy Boy aims to bring smiles and hope to all people, and in this case, he's doing that to Wano. That even if Kaido stands before him, the king of beasts, the one who's enslaved all of Wano for 20 years, Luffy stands with a smile on his face, unafraid of Kaido, unafraid of death. What I really love about this chapter as well is the contrast of Kaido's demeanor and the way he fights with Luffy's. Although Kaido's had moments of being comical with his drunken state, he's usually depressed, he's angry, and that he fights with so much rage and animosity towards those who stand before them. He's super stone cold, but right now he's getting throttled by a man who's the opposite of these things. Luffy is calm, he's joyous, he's happy, he's the antithesis of what Kaido stands for, which is exactly one of the reasons why Kaido can never be Joy Boy. Oda really turns this fight funny, but at the same time, he's still showing off just how powerful Luffy has become with his 5th gear, which again is a testament to something so unique that Oda can do that I find so many other mangakas struggle to have this dichotomy. Like I said, the Looney Tune-esque fight sequence has grown on me after reading this chapter, but I don't think that that's how the fight's going to end with this Looney Tune-esque style. Obviously, Oda's wanted to draw it like this for a reason, but I really do think elements of seriousness are going to come to this fight, and it would only make sense, though, for the fact that this fight would be the highest of stakes. Kaido has been someone who's built up for hundreds and hundreds of chapters and episodes, and he's been the leading central antagonist up to this point, and if Oda didn't get to the level of seriousness that was kind of on par with Rob Lucci versus Luffy, I think a lot of fans would be left wanting a little bit more, but thankfully, given that One Piece fights are typically pretty long, and it seems that Kaido nor Luffy seem to be going anywhere, this fight has a ton more to go, and as a result, if you didn't like this Looney Tune-esque sequence, we have so many more opportunities to make up for that and show a seriousness element to this fight. Guys, I never really thought I would be doing One Piece this early on a Thursday before my basketball league of all things, but here we are. This chapter was great. Thank God for TCB scans coming out with it at a reasonable time, so I don't have to record at midnight like usual. Guys, if you enjoyed this type of video, please let me know in the comment section if you want more theory One Piece videos or what kind of One Piece videos you want. I really love covering One Piece, and I know it's not the most popular series on my channel in terms of discussions, but I love this series, and all of you who support me and comment down each week on my One Piece videos, it keeps me going and motivated to make more like these. Guys, I hope you're having a beautiful end of your week. My God, tomorrow's Friday. As always, my friends, remember, be greedier.